That's a click.
Okay. Everyone settle down, settle down. This is your daily announcement for Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Today we have a special presentation coming all the way from Manhattan. It's part lecture, part storytelling, and poetry. Yes, I know. Yawn. Poetry. But this is the world according to Galinsky. And if you come from New York, you already know he's a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn, and a king. Well, maybe not a king. Now, today we're suspending some of the rules, and we encourage you to go ahead and sing along, get up and dance, clap your hands, and interact if you're so compelled. There are no wrong reactions. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who identify outside of that binary. Much of this material was written as early as 1986, and some written as late as last night. Actually, what time is it? Well, by the end of the show, it shall be written. Now, please sit back and enjoy Everything in New York Goes
Bang! Everything in New York goes bang. City bike rental dock, bang. Times Square midnight strike clock, bang. Wall Street steep deep stock drop, bang. The vibrations of an investment banker's head. Cement on the sidewalk after jumping from a building in debt of dread. Now he, she, they, them, dead. Everything in New York goes bang. Single bar car crotch hop, bang. Find fun, young hot thought, bang. Too tight contraceptive electric bike pop, bang. The noise of embryos crying in your head. Phantom echoes of spontaneous parenthood spawn a lifelong what if because of the need to jump from club to bed. Everything in New York goes bang. High-priced restaurant sticker shock, bang. Birthday brunch balloon party pop, bang. Tableside robbery, they're not all bad cops, bang. The sound of wailing police sirens, a flaring. Random rogue shotguns and gunshots, firing like a Karen. When all I want and am caring for is food fairly fed. Everything in New York goes bang. Late night law enforcement, unwarranted no knock, bang. One breath, one shot, all you got, bang. Unregistered out-of-state plate, planted AK-47 Gat Glock, bang. The whiz of lead passing by your head. You know your heart and spirit can't handle it if a criminal wears a badge instead. Everything in New York goes bang. Trapdoors, steel gates, slap-on blacktop, bang. Combination locks, latch keys, all flop, bang. Top-notch security systems do nothing to crime stop. You say it's all yours and yours alone because you paid for it with your hard-earned bread. So it's kept in good stead. But in this city, that's as real as a guilty verdict while driving black at a stop sign bleeding red. Because everything in New York goes bang! I was covered in blood, kicking and screaming, covered in blood. There was all kinds of uniformed officials grabbing me, slapping me, bending my bones like rubber. Some kind of supernatural interrogation. Then they brought out the hoses, started spraying me down. Water pressure, punishing pressure. I could barely open my eyes, choking on the liquid blast of chlorine and fluoride. I wanted to hide. I cried and I cried. No one would acknowledge me. I was losing control of my motor skills. My muscles were flexing involuntarily. I was clenching my fist. I wanted to fight back. I wanted to hit someone. I didn't know who to hit, what to hit. Oh, how could this be? What? They were making decisions for me. There were unfamiliar noises pummeling my ears. People barking out instructions in a language I didn't understand. How could this be? What kind of world am I living in? It's so rough, kicking and screaming, covered in blood. And then they lifted me. They lofted me. They tossed me in the air. And I landed in the safest space possible, into the warm, loving arms of my mother, Jean Catherine Sermola Galinsky, surrounded by the soulful cooing of my father, Saul Sam Galinsky. I was resting on her chest. The tranquil heartbeat put me in a fetal trance. It made me want to prance. It made me want to get up and dance and do a little baby dance of joy. I am born. I'm alive. I am born. Robert Traeger Galinsky. And what's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Not if you ask my mom, who drilled into me from day one. Your name is Robert. That's what you have people call you, Robert. You're not Bob, you're not Bobby, Robert. Now, maybe someday you'll meet a nice girl and she'll call you Rob or Robbie, but never Bob or Bobby, ever. So Bob and Bobby, according to my mom, do not smell like a rose. And I think the reason that she held so tightly onto this name is because I was named after my grandfather, Rachmiel Galinsky. And the name Rachmiel was just a little bit too difficult for the officers on Ellis Island to process. It was challenging. Your name is Rachmiel. What? Rachmiel. Rachel? Raquel? Slicha. That's pardon me in Yiddish. No, I am sorry. It is Rachmiel. No, I am sorry. It is Robert. Welcome to America, Robert Galinsky. And with that, they stamped my grandfather's papers. Bang! And Rachmiel is now Robert. And so when I headed into New York, into the mid-late 80s, and I was doing some performing and teaching, and I thought, hey man, I need a stage name, you know? I held on to my mom's orders. Up to that point, it was Robert, not Bob, not Bobby. But I thought, I need a stage name like some of my friends. They all got cool names like Kid Lucky, Broken Glass, Spiro. So I'm rehearsing with two really great musicians, great friends of mine, Blast and Tebow. And I say to Blast, man, we got a gig coming up, man. What's the name of the band? Blast is like, ain't no band name. His Bronx baritone cuts me off, ain't no band name. I go, what do you mean, man? We got a gig coming up. Ain't no band. What the name of what we doing is Galinsky. Come on, man, we got a gig. You heard me. You're the poet. We play the music. This is Galinsky. Galinsky? Galinsky. From that moment on, it stuck. Bang. Galinsky. Not Bob, not Bobby, not Rob or Robbie or Rachmiel. Galinsky. And I reveled in this because I knew that this was not a stage name. This was not a nom de plume. I had to be whatever I was as me. Take it or leave it, everything I do, unmasked, unhidden, represented by Galinsky. Now, was I tempted to go the route of some of these other famous artists that are out there? Let's see. Robert Zimmerman, Eunice Wayman, Peter Hernandez, Farrokh Bulsara, Eric Bishop, or Reginald Kenneth DeWitt. Come on, look in your program, there's a glossary. No, this is Hollywood. Let's do this together, all right? Robert Zimmerman? Yes. Eunice Wayman?
Kanye West.
No. Far, far from it. No, this was a hard one. I probably should have put it later. Nina Simone. Peter Hernandez. Come on, people, there's some music heads in this. Yes, Bruno Mars. Farrokh Bulsara.
Barack Obama.
Freddie Mercury. Eric Bishop.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah! Reginald Kenneth DeWitt. Elton John. But I'm Galinsky. a curious Caucasian kid born into the whiteness protection program called the suburbs of Connecticut. And I celebrate 2 birthdays, one on January 3rd, 1965 in Hartford, you just got a little glimpse of it, and on December 6th, 1988, my 2nd birthday, the day I moved to New York, and it was like a scene out of Sanford and Son. All right, all my belongings are in this pickup truck. My friend, he's behind me. He's driving his 1953 Ford flathead pickup truck. The fenders are rusted. All my stuff's in it. Boxes of stuff overflowing everywhere. He's behind me. My baby brother Phil is in the passenger seat. They're gonna see me off to New York. I'm in a car in front. My dad's driving. I'm talking like a maniac the whole way. Everything I own in the world is with me. I got $600 cash in my pocket. 3 months rent paid ahead of time on this little makeshift room carved out of an abandoned storefront on 149 Ludlow Street. And my goals were to write and act and write and act and write and act. And I found out on the very first night how this town and its habits existed long before I did, before I even got there. And as part of my New York baptism, I learned very quickly that I was wise to stand in line when I wanted to get home with the heroin users who were buying from the door, one door down. And the way I found this out is because there was a line of assorted druggies and addicts and junkies and hedge fund managers. And sometimes I'd walk past the line to get into my storefront and dude would be like, hey, yo, where you going? Just going home. Yeah, well, you can wait in line like the rest of us. Man, you don't understand. I live here. This is my building. Don't make me raise it up. You own the building? No, I mean, like, this is my building. This is my home. You know, I live here. Yeah, I live here too, probably longer than you. I just want to go home. Well, you wait in line with the rest of us. We all came here to go home. So there were certain nights where I was like, all right, I wait in line, you know. I would wait in line, and I'd make the person's day behind me because I would, when it was my turn, I'd skip the drug dealer door and go right into my storefront. That person got skipped up one space. Hey! And then once inside the store, I enjoyed the smell of oil paints because I had a roommate. His name was John Curran, and he was a painter. And he painted 7 nights a week. He painted from 10 p.m. till 5 a.m., 7 nights a week. It was so inspirational. And so his focus was my focus, and I was his focus. And I'm in the cute little bohemian chateau amongst the oil pigments and the linseed oil permeating the air, me whacking out pages on a typewriter. I actually brought a typewriter with me. This was 1988, remember? So, all situated next to a thriving drug den in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And I found work very quickly as a waiter. But then I didn't really feel like that was fulfilling enough. You know, I didn't want to have a job where I was just doing something to make some cash. And in a stroke of fate, I heard one of the patrons at the table saying she needed an assistant to cast a TV commercial. So I, as Galinsky does, inserted himself into the situation immediately. And it led to 3 years of casting TV commercials. And in that 3 years, I discovered how terrible people can behave terribly in show business.
There's no business like show business, like no business like no.
So, I sought out different things to do. You know, it didn't make me happy to do that, so I wasn't contributing in the world the way I wanted to. So I sought out avenues to do what I really love to do: poetry, improvisational theater, playwriting. And within 6 months, I had established myself as a freelance teacher, teaching art programs to special education departments throughout all 5 boroughs. And I told the people that hired me, I said, put me in the most dysfunctional, hardcore, problematic institutions you possibly can. And they were like,
Are you sure, Mr. Galinsky? You know, that would be special education.
I said, yeah, 1,000%. Because to me, this was my Peace Corps work. Like, this was me not having to travel halfway around the world to make a difference. I was able to have an impact locally and fulfill what I wanted to do. So my requests were obliged. And the white suburban kid was now immersing himself in the public schools, the projects, the ghettos of the South Bronx, Rockaway Beach, Red Hook, where else? Everywhere. And this was before IKEA was in those neighborhoods. And Starbucks, and Whole Foods. And there were even 212 area codes at that point. I got my wish, and I was allowed to work where the wild schools are. Where the wild schools are. Gotta write that down like that, gotta get that memorized. Serious incidents on a clipboard, bulletin board, the worst schools of the system. Walt Whitman, Public School 243. Louis Armstrong, Public School 88. R. Goddard, PS 62. Patrick Daly, PS 15. Count Basie, PS 72. Count Basie is a bad school. Count Basie is a bad school. Ooh, 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 where the wild schools are. Ooh, 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 where the wild schools are. Danny Kaye, PS 149. Gun possession on a post-it note. Metal detectors for the criminalized. Gun possession children, R. Goddard. Gun possession children, William Kunstler. Gun possession children, Mary McLeod Bethune. Where the wild schools are. Happiness in those hallowed halls of cinder block pink, yellow, blue, pale green, faded, outdated atlas maps, fractured, fissured eraser claps, all leading to mix and match faculty staff, penitentiary dreary, where we come to move, improve your hat, strike gold, be bold, avoid a white boy with a baseball bat, where the wild schools are. Ooh, 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 where the wild schools are. It's kind of fun. Join me this time. Ready? Ooh, 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 where the wild schools are. Jacked up, jacked down, all around, lunchroom, stomach wound, jumping and marching in lines against whistles and megaphones. Your mother's on the phone, broken nose. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, say, can you see? Pledge allegiance to the bang! Give me a hall pass to LeBron James High. Give me a hall pass to Jonathan Ames High. Give me a hall pass to Pedro Albizu Campos High. Give me a hall pass to Shabaka High, Roger Genver High. Give me a hall pass to Lynn Shea High. And take me to where the wild schools are. And fly me to the moon. Let me play amongst the stars. Let me know what school is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, ooh, 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 ooh. So it was at these schools where I learned more about myself through these kids, their parents, their guardians, their neighbors, the librarians. Librarians are tough. They're amazing. And I learned about my prejudices, my upbringing, the things I believe, my assumptions. And after going through 40 schools, I saw that there was a relentless pressure and strain on kids to perform. So much so that a simple question in the hallway when we were passing a teacher on my way to get some lunch, this question took on a whole new burden. What is 7 times 7? 2 fifth grade girls of color. One light skin, one dark skin, scar over her right eye, pocketbook slung over her shoulder, were on assignment to take me to the lunch lady to get my ticket for lunch. On the way, a speckled, freckled, red-haired, bearded, balding, pale math teacher spying us way down the hall, way down, stops me and my escorts and asks one of them, scar over her right eye, "What's 7 times 7? She turns to her friend and laughs. Fakes, laughs. Looks like she's gonna guess. Fakes, almost guessing. She laughs again. So this time he repeats his question in a snappy, sappy, Sinatra-like song. "What, my dear, is 7 times 7? 1 times 1 is. 3 times 3 is. 5 times 5 is. What is 7 times 7? She turns to her friend and laughs. Fakes guessing, laughs again. And then her friend runs, shrieking maniacally, laughing deliriously, echoing desperately down the hall. And we pass into the office where she stalls us with smiles and giggles as she braces herself against the last swivels of Mr. Arithmetic's swinging door. And then he waits for her to perform, to turn the trick. She laughs, he laughs. His face begins to change shape. She laughs, sweat forms on his forebrow. Pressure builds. His shirt buttons are stretching till suddenly his chest bursts open. Fountains of numbers spurting through his sweater vest. 6 times 6, 3 times 3, 4 times 4. Piles of number flowing to the floor, piling on one another. The young lady leans into the rising timetables and searches for an answer. First she finds it 7, next another, then an equal sign, and then an X. Sifting through the numbered rubble, she thinks she sees the factor. She grabs it, she clutches it close, she whispers, 49? And she sings it like salvation.
49. It's quiet, except for the rustling of numbers settling at her feet. And she whispers again, 49?
And she sings it like salvation. 49, 49. 49 ends the great white marching band in her head. 49 ends the conquests in her head. The occupation in her head. 49, it's westward expansion. 49, it's on the back of a milk carton. It's a Michael Jordan logo. 49, it's in Marky Mark's jeans. Now remember, this is the late 80s, so some of these references are going to be fucking old, okay? 49, 49, everybody's dancing and celebrating. Let's get to the cafeteria at 8. Yeah, 49. Suddenly, teacher steps in front of her. 8 times 8. What? 8 times 8. She scowls. Can I revel my success with lunch and recess? 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. It's quiet again. But for the buzzing of the main office secretary's background gossip. As slowly, she pulls her hand from her purse in the shape of a pistol. She points her finger index at teacher, pokes him under the armpit, balances him there for a moment, calculating the moment, and then spins him in a whirlwind of plaid and corduroy, dumps him in the corner, left to account for himself. She smiles, he smiles, and then she takes the gun and she puts it to her head. This is the rubric that trembles inside as she slowly pushes the barrel a few inches south into her mouth, swallowing imaginary bullets down her throat. This is 8 times 8, 7 times 7, 6 times 6, 5 times 5, 4 times 4, 3 times 3, 2 times 2, 1 times 1. What is 7 times 7? Now, this is a far cry from where I live in Alphabet City, downtown Manhattan, replete with its artists, its bon vivants, its crusties, where no one's thinking about public school kids, where anybody, if they want to be, if they wish to be, they can be like me, pull a poem out of their pocket and be East Village hip. East Village hip. I got the earring, nose ring, eye ring, lip ring, rib ring, brow ring, hip ring, belly button ring, ding-a-ling-a-ling. I do the clip-on bling. And when a breeze blows through Tompkins Square, you can hear the wind sing. See my breath cling to my bones and choke my bones and chain and dope body. I'm East Village hip. I took 3 weeks of karate. I make your mama say, "Oh, look at him! He's wearing a $1,000 pair of Gucci jeans on, and with a rip, 'cause I'm East Village hip." I speed read through alphabet blues like yesterday's news tattooed across my chest. Think my skin like paper thin blotter for ink. My armpits stink. I wash my eyes, my balls in city sewage sinks. I wear the red hair, blue hair, green hair, black hair. I wear pitchy patchopism hair. I wear the mohawks so no bro talk comes near. I go to barber. Well, I used to think I go to barber to instill fear. Actually, I still do think that because I'm East Village hip. Don't give me no lip. I got my ATM card. Makes me real hard. My mind is battle scarred. Boxcar, snoozing outside at night. Sleeping bag ain't debugged. Another reason I like to stay drugged. Until I wake up on my back. I wake up in the grass. It's really freaking whack. And awfully, awfully crass. But don't worry. I won't take it too far. I got no fright. Somewhere I got keys to a car. And if it looks like a fight or there comes a January freeze, winter please. My East Village mantra, retreat, reprieve, retreat. Back to Connecticut, Long Island, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or wherever I come from, because I'm not dumb, I'm just hip. I'm just East Village hip. So don't give me no flack, you know. I often quote quotes from rock bands and quacks, radical thinkers with arms on their tracks. See, I'm a Cliff Note stinker from way, way back. I know how to tinker, and I once tried crack. Well, actually I didn't. I dumped it in the gutter when my fellow hipster turned his back. But don't give me no flack! I told you I'm ATM hard. I'm in QR mode. I'm Stetsasonic, crypto, Bitcoin, Venmo mode, $40, $50 at a pop. I got multiple piercings that get me any plug score and cop. You know, ecstasy, body bags, smack, dope, scope, skag, blue dream, China white, red rage, K2, and I ain't trying to brag, but from hand-rolled joints, I still do drag. Because I'm East Village hip. Don't give me no lip! Got my ATM card! I'm all these people. Bob Dylan, Patti Smith, Lou Reed, Jim Carroll, Tuli Kupferberg, The Misfits, Jimi Hendrix, Electric Lady, The Ramones, Blondie, CBGB's, Basquiat. I'm a Mary Baraka before he was Leroy Jones, all rolled up into a pack of pre-rolled bones. Bang! Take your pick, have a look, have a lick, pull a blunt, smoke a bird, sniff the skunk, make it quick, cause I'm a punk. If you haven't already heard, this shtick is a stunt. I just want to get home, finish this poem, before I get my butt whipped. Because I need a fix and a win, I swing and I miss, this shit is chagrin, so I'm gonna flip onto the tourist tip. Spend some money, spend some cash, get some snacks, weigh some stacks, summons an Uber and get back to where I once belong. Bang. So please, don't tell anyone my mom's crib is a penthouse on the Upper West with a crystal staircase, a spiral balcony, and yeah, it's got a brick fireplace, the best. And yeah, I'll be all alone away from the Lower East Side, cacophony to rest, coiled up by the flames with a Ziploc bag of some delicious crystal meth. Cause I'm a mess, I'm a myth, I'm a bindle of blame and a bundle of moans. And I tap 2 glass slippers and 2 glass pipes like Ruby Red, Dorothy Fame, whispering to myself, breathless in distress. There's no place like home. There's no place like home when you're East Village hip. Somewhere over the rainbow in the East Village of New York. Now me, I would rather be one of the many mayors that are in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And after living there for 30 years, I've been repeatedly called a mayor of the East Village. So now if you're confused by the names, the East Village is a name that was sort of co-opted by the earlier gentrifiers, so it's really the Lower East Side, which is also known as Alphabet City, which is also known as the LES, which stands for Lower East Side. And then if you're really into it, you are a Lower East Sideita. Am I right? Yes. So if you're a Lower East Sideita, you are probably one of the many mayors, or you are visible. You can see some of the mayors. And the way to do this is like this. Yeah, you can start the snaps now, people. Yeah, that's how we do it. Yeah. So, now this is a poem about the mayors of Lower East Side either. There's the mayor of 6th Street and Avenue C, a retired pimp with a master's in street degree. Then there's the mayor of 4th Street and Avenue A. Her hair is like community garden hay, a little beige, a little brown, a lot of gray.
Then there's the mayor of B&3. She's a sex worker out of work. We don't say laid off for obvious reasons. She's on sex worker comp, but if you got the money, she's willing to romp in any season. Then there's the mayor of St. Mark's at First Avenue. You look at him, he looks right back at you. Eye to eye, he turns the screw, and your spare change, it knows just what to do. Then there's the mayor of Pitt and Stanton. Flew here from Cleveland, or did she drive in from Scranton? Got a job, married a local. Lost the job, divorced the local. She hasn't quit, she's got the grit, she's still standing. Then there's the mayor of Houston, not Houston. The envy of all envy, that's not binary. The very first, his and her, his and her. And they're all mayors of living life shackle-free. All these mayors in their own ways, they just want to be perceived. Myself included, not as players out to swindle, con, or deceive, but as modest micro-mini mayors, integral to the showcasing and maintaining of the many layers of the putrid, perfect places of pride, not listed in your tourist guide of Alphabet City, the East Village, Lower East Side, LES, the Lower East Side. Yo, and then there's the worst mayor of them all, and that's a mayor with a gun.
Mayor with a gun, 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 mayor with a 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 gun, 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 mayor with a gun, mayor with a gun. Dancing in front of me are the ghosts of past revolutionaries. We're heading toward a youth group movement generation, a youth group movement generation. Dancing in front of me are the ghosts of past revolutionaries.
Mayor with a gun, 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 mayor with a 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 gun, 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 mayor with a gun, mayor with a gun. A mayor with a gun is voted out of office, toting a plastic tech toy 9. Dink, don't, Dinkins. He's screaming, no more Christmas sales, no more Christmas sales, peace and reduction. Peace and reduction, while another mayor gloats in, holding a heavy metal handgun. Rotten Apple Rudy. He's screaming, training, training, training. He says it's a criminal thing, not a color thing. A criminal thing, not a color thing. Yet young black gun deaths pop off like cash registers ding. Bottle rockets fling, firecrackers fling, zing. The fix the fizz of short-lived lives. Babies thrown from bridges on vehicles of despair. Babies thrown from vehicles on bridges of despair. Earth, nature doesn't care. Thunderstorms erupt like me. Tornadoes twist like me. Floods combust like me. Singing, singing. Dancing in front of me are the ghosts of past revolutionaries. We're heading toward a youth group movement generation. Fruit of the youth group movement generation. Mayor with a gun, mayor with a gun. Mayor with a gun, mayor with a gun. Hey, it's fun, join me. Mayor with a gun, mayor with a gun. 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 White suburban, white suburban joyride ends. A friend flies in the gully below, dies in the gully below through the windshield. My agony is deep blast. I go to my shotgun. 2 rounds fired into the sky. Lead falls and flies. And then I turn the gun to face myself. Turn the gun to face myself. And my white American mind is a suicide in denial. A brown baby's death. A suburban joyride. A mayor with a gun. 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 With a giddy gun. Gun. Gotta get a gun. Get a gun. Get a gun. Now, special education classes, as I've told you, ruled me first. But I was seeking a situation that was more adverse. I was looking for the gold standard of abuse and perverse. Rikers Island Jail. Oh, yes. Where Adolf Gulagiani and the like think that that's where our children, our youth, our teens, our young 20s, that they're the worst of the worst. But I think actually they're the best of the best. And why? I'll tell you that later. But for now, I'm going to the infamous Rikers Island Jail, where I get to go in and out on the same day, no required bail. And every time I go on the way, I call my mom and I say, Mom, I'm going to jail. Oh my God, Robert, what happened? No, Mom, I'm teasing. I'm teasing, Mom. Oh, Robert, you're going to feed the people, aren't you?
Yeah, Mom, I'm going to feed the people. My mom and I had this running joke, because when I was a kid, making my first Holy Communion, I was chosen to read a passage. Jesus feeds the people. You know who he's feeding, don't you, Rob? The people, right, Mom? Yeah, but the people he's feeding are the same people you're feeding. People in confinement, Mom? Yes, Robert, people accused of robbery, murder, rape, Ponzi schemers, tax collectors, lawyers. Oh, shit, Mom, lay it on! All the people that are thought of irredeemable, you're trying to give them a second chance. Yes, Mom, my guys and girls. But they're redeemable, Rob, and you know it. Redeemable. I know that, Mom. And so young me told my mom, you know what, Mom? I'm going to memorize that speech. I'm going to memorize that speech, and I'm going to deliver it in front of the congregation. 2 weeks before the ceremony, she said, that's fine, Rob, that's great. But what you need to do is you need to read it 3 times every morning and 3 times before you go to bed for the next 2 weeks, okay? And keep a copy of it in your back pocket just in case, okay? And I was like, okay. I took her advice. I read it over and over for 2 weeks. And I went up there and I did the piece and I didn't put it in my back pocket. I had it memorized. I knocked it out of the box. There's no other way to say it. I nailed it. I crushed it. And this astounded her. For the next 50 freaking years, I heard the story. Oh my God, you remember that time you went up there and you did the speech at your communion? You didn't have a thing in your pocket. I was terrified. I was so scared. I mean, really? So for about a decade, Robert, not Bob, feeds the people. Bang! Riding a bus into Rikers Island, only one way in, one way out on a mile-long bridge. And then it took about 10 years of me showing up with all my learning materials in my backpack. I looked like a little square nerd. And they were finally had enough of me, and I was accused of smuggling in contraband.
Aye, that's right, mateys. I was smuggling in contraband.
Who lives in the pineapple under the sea? That sort of the yellow and chorus is he.
Wait, wrong Bob! No, Bob! Wrong pirate, wrong show. Come on.
No, it was a different Bob. Now, you might think the list. The list includes pot, pills, coke, cannabis, MDMA, ketamine. Oh, illicit items in high demand. Meth, molly, mushrooms, speed. No, that pirate booty did not make the list. I was accused of bootlegging an even more dangerous type of pirate booty, you scallywags. So brace yourself. I tell you, mateys, because I was accused of smuggling shiver me timbers, the dangerous and volatile black market items.
Skittles, Snickers, and Starbursts. And sometimes, yes. Can we all do that together? It's a lot of fun. No recording, just us. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Woo! You guys got it down. There's nothing like putting a Ricola into a 19-year-old kid from the South Bronx who's had the toughest fucking time of his life, and you put it in his hand, and everything changes, and he goes, Ricola. It's freaking great.
The horror. Yo ho ho. Those aren't code names. Those are not code names for narcotic buried treasure. No, they are what they are. Skittles, Snickers, and Starburst.
And sometimes, bang! Contraband. There's more on the list here as I quickly moved on to, oh yes, The Pursuit of Happiness, Hidden Figures, The Secret, The Color Purple, classics like It's a Wonderful Life, and Ben-Hur, the chariot scene. Oh man, we didn't even watch the movie, we just watched the chariot scene. The record indicates inspirational and character-building movies. Bang! And then I followed that up with the powerhouse Great Way drugs like paper, pads, pens, pencils, stage plays, screenplays, biographies, magazines. And the funny thing about the smuggling accusations is I was never accused of smuggling fresh basil, spearmint, rosemary that I grew in my community garden plot and then slipped in between the pages of the autobiography of Malcolm X and Lord of the Flies. I was never accused of that. I was never accused of smuggling in frozen ice cream Eskimo pies, packed in dry ice, in Ziploc bags, camouflaged in layers of soft cover books until the young women, the girls, they took their first taste that they had had of ice cream in 18 months. And the biggest, baddest contraband of all, myself.
just showing up. And I learned this one day. After a session, I was leaving, and I said to a kid, "Hey man, I'll see you next week." And he's like, "All right, see you next week, Mr. G." And I walked out of the day room to the never-ending echoes of nonsensical radio, the freaking incessant jangling of jailhouse keys, the mangling bangling of grimy doors. And when I returned the next week,
I was greeted by that same kid. And he looks at me and he goes, "Oh shit, you came back." And I was like, "Yeah, of course I came back. I said I was coming back." Everybody say they're coming back, but nobody ever does. But you do. You know what else, Mr. Galinsky? What? You ain't afraid to make eye contact. You look us in the eye when you talk to us. Come on, man, everybody looks you in the eye. No, man, they don't. And it's a different feeling. It makes us feel alive. I said, "Well, you know what? I have a son, and I have to look him in the eye, and he's as black as you. And if I don't, then I'll be complacent, and I will be complicit." And that day when I left, I said, "I'll see you next week." And he was like, "I know you will, Mr. G." And like he gave me like this greatest hug, and it was beautiful. So it reminded me of my father, who would get out of bed to go to his pharmacy when someone would call at 2 a.m. because they needed their drugs. Back then it wasn't as loaded, that word. Come on, don't look at my dad like that, guys. Come on, chill out. Jeez, he's a pharmacist. He got out of bed to go to his pharmacy, Saul's Prescription Center, and he would fill the patient's prescription. He would drive to their house. On any given night, a call would come in. He would get up and he would go do that. And it showed me that the act of showing up, the act of just coming back, means everything to people. So I left the unit that day feeling like really good, you know? Walking down one of the endlessly long corridors of Rikers Island. They don't end. They just seem like a kaleidoscope. And I passed this dog on a leash. He's part of the canine therapy program. They have a program where kids are taught that if they mess with a pet, if they care for a pet, they can dissolve themselves of their narcissistic needs. Then it builds bridges and healing to themselves. And so I'm walking by, and this dog, this comfort dog, a snarling pit bull, takes a bite of my hand. And I'm holding my arm, and this thing, it's like a tug of war, trying to get this dog off me. It's fucking scary as hell. And all of a sudden, I look at the CO, and he's going, "That's the third time he's attacked somebody this week." Bang! Robert feeds the pit bulls. Not. But experiences like that, being attacked by a comfort dog, getting maced along with the population, getting blasted off my chair when a kid got jumped by 5 other kids, collateral damage that I was. These experiences, they come and go like flashbacks, and they make me want to occasionally take a whiskey flask back and drink myself blind. But then I realized they are like flashbangs, a flashbang, thought grenade that explodes in the cerebellum, puts the emotions in a bind. Flashbang, oh, here it is. It's really a recipe. Flashbang, big apple pipe fitter fritters. 1 slice of stale bread, soaked in water, laced with white sugar and minced or crushed bashed apples. Then sprinkled with a 3-ingredient glaze, which blew my mind for days. Salt, Splenda, and more bleached sugar. It's spread on said baker's yeast. And then that is put on a pipe overhead. And it heats up, that pipe, at a certain part of the day. And so this slow apple turnover cooks all day and becomes a wonderful feast late in the day. Flashbang, cute, cuddly kittens. Yeah. Hell did freeze over, and it renamed itself Rikers Island Jail, where I walk in one day, and all of my students are piled up on each other in a corner. I'm like, what's going on, guys? They're huddled up, like laying on top of each other, because it's so cold in there. They're trying to stay within each other's body heat, bonding, like little kittens in a basket. Flashbang, sad snacks. Mad stacks of grape jelly, still holding the cylindrical form that they were slid out of. They're artfully muddled with, I'm not making this up, packs of hot sauce and ketchup and jelly. Creating a magical, mucky mix.
an imaginative hunger fix made by adolescent wits, and this spicy jaundiced jelly all day long just sits. Flashbang! Black tuna. It can be gray, it could be brown, or basic black. And it's called tuna fish, but that's a debatable fact. It's plopped in a dented and dinged can, stainless steel pan, and it sits soiling, spoiling, and souring all day, every day. It's a discolored, noxious bastard's buffet. Flashbang, mop smoking sessions. Here are the instructions, okay? Using wires from headphones, you insert it into an electrical outlet, and then it sets off a spark that ignites a single strand of germ-drenched yarn taken from a mop. And then that viral cotton tress of mop is smoked, puffed, sheared, and savored like sweet nicotine or cannabis, with no one mindful of the sweeping, swabbing, toxic slop. Arrgh! So I continued to battle and counter these barbaric, pathetic images by trafficking another great way drug, music. Hundreds of songs by artists like Lil Durk, ABK Swish, Polo G, Let Me Bum a Cigarette, Yo Chill. Come on, you guys, you know, you're all hip-hop heads, you know these, right? Come on, so picture entering the day after day after day after day room with scowling young boys, all angry, ready to fight. They're all glaring at each other, snapping, and this is the climate that I'm attempting to change. And when I plug the music in, the room flips. It's a jovial jamming space. High fives, people are looking at each other in the eye, bump fists, and the guys and I were all dancing. And then one of the CEOs comes over to me. And I want to dance. I think she wants to dance with me. Come on. Her divine feminine energy, singular in the room with all the adolescent teen spirit. Yeah. And then she pulls me aside. She wants to tell me something. I'm like, oh shit, now what? I don't want to hear it. And she goes, Mr. Galinsky, you know, I'm so glad you came in today. These kids light up, and you know, it makes our job so much easier. You don't know how much easier it makes our jobs. I'm like, yo, it's cool, it's not me though. Look, it's the music, it's them. Yeah, but you know, it makes our job a lot easier. So I'm like, okay, cool. Everybody's still chilling, having a good time, dancing. And then there's this one kid. There's always one kid, right? He's not happy, he's upset. He's not happy unless he gets into 2 or 3 or 5 fights in one day. I got in 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights. I got in 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights. I got in 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights. Riding a line scooter in this town is murder. I watched a pit bull steal a baby carriage the other day. 2 squirrels mugged an old lady. Wiped my butt, saw a cockroach in the toilet paper, told me about a boa constrictor kicked over a vendor's table. I got in 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights. I got in 5 fights. This kid, he hit me in the jaw. He made this mark on my jaw. I was standing there with my left hand on his throat tube, popping it in and out like a soda can. My right hand up in the sky, a clump of sun shining through it. And I felt like I was sitting by a fire somewhere, beating it rhythmically, feeding it senselessly. I got in 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights today. Sing it with me. I got in 5 fights today. Come on, bring it. I got in 5 fights today. 2 guys, 2 other guys, one I showed you. Put this, make this mark. I got in 5 fights. My brother builds machine parts and cigarette filters. Daycare centers have the same enrollment as funeral homes. It's poison in your ass, public pools. It's poison in class in the public schools. Birds have to be tough to live around here. They must be going through some serious changes. Changes like you and me go through. My name means something in the Bible. Page 247. Please, someone flutter through me. Twist my heart to a bumblebee. Let the fuzz, buzz, buzz carry me away. I got 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights today. I got in 5 fights today. What am I fighting for anyway? It was a 5-fight day. Now, I knew I was walking a fine, firing line through rule books, metal detectors, x-ray scans, the disdainful looks of unforgiving man, my backpack packed with heartwarming goodies and incentive-based plans. So I doubled down on my resolve to lift my students, and I call them students, kids, people, not the lazy libel labels, monster, thug, pigs. So I'm cruising along, month after month, year after year, until I reach a tipping point. The point in which I was told I committed a supreme abomination, an almighty violation. One day, as I was being scanned through the metal detectors, this was literally a AAA moment. What's that in your bag? What? Looks like there's metal in your bag. Well, he points to the image on the x-ray. Are those AAA batteries? That's considered contraband. The C word. I gotta confiscate that. That don't make no sense. So you see, inside jail, batteries, everything costs 3 times, 4 times more than it does on the outside. And batteries are an incredible incentive. You sit with a teacher for 20 minutes, you get 2 batteries, and then you can put them in the little headset that they give you, a little unit with that AirPods, which also cost 3 to 4 times more than any other. And then you can, if you're there as an inmate, you can hear the words from the movies that might be playing, or the TV, instead of watching it and not being able to hear. You can hear the music that's happening, right? Like a normal person. That makes sense, doesn't it, officer? No, it doesn't. Normal, hear the music. Yeah, people use batteries to listen to the music. What's your name and your badge number? Ah, shit, all right. Galinsky, 4219X. Well, 4219X, Galinsky, they use the batteries to start fires. They use the batteries to listen to music. They use the batteries to start fires. You know, Galinsky, you trust too much and you know too little. Well, with all due respect, officer, forget about it. He covers his badge. With all due respect, officer, forget about it. You trust too little and know too much. We both know what they use the batteries for, Galinsky. Yes, I do. My students use the batteries to listen to music. Have a good tour, Galinsky. Within an hour of that groundbreaking, productive exchange with that AAA jerk, I was kicked off the island. I was given the heave-ho, thrown overboard, told to weigh anchor and sail off into the sunset. Scupper the buccaneer, Galinsky. Cast him off. Extradited without discussion or debate, told never to return or I'd be placed under arrest and they would incarcerate. I'd be in the same facility where I was hired to educate. Banned from Rikers Island. Bang. But who cares, right? I mean, these are the worst of the worst, remember? That's what the media says and the politicians say. America's mayor says the worst of the worst. Bang. But I see the worst of the worst as the best of the best. The best of the best. And why? Because they're challenged in a way that none of us possibly could imagine, or many of us could possibly imagine. They have to try harder and do better than so many other people, because the system's deftly designed to keep normalcy out of reach. Because there's a system that feeds on the constant rotation of bodies and cells and beds and facilities that are funded by state, local, and federal securities. And it frightens me. I'm going to confess to you guys, I have a severe case of foink. Guess foink. What is foink? Come on, man. It's inspired by George Clinton's "We Want the Funk." Have you seen my foink? Hey! Get up, people! Come on! We want the funk! Stretch it out! Yes! Foink. Have you see my FOINK? It stands for FOINK. Fear of you not knowing. FOINK. My fear of you not knowing. Have you seen my FOINK? I think you'd like it. I think you would really like it. It's an upload of a salad with mango, blue cheese, drizzled truffle, fennel, a kerfuffle of pinoli, orderly lateral arugula, pulverized pistachio, ridiculous amounts of radicchio. I mean, I'm talking salads that have knees to get down on. A window into me through my fruits, my veggies, my nuts. Have you seen my FOINK? My fear of you not knowing? It's an upload, an airdrop from the Blue Ocean cruise I booked. Yes, and you can see my feet up on the railings, neither foot flailing, my toes pedicure fresh, neither foot flailing, and the corner of a book, just in the corner, the tip of a book, which makes for great literary signaling. I'm not really reading it. And it's basking in a vibrant Insta. Dusk and twilight and nightfall. I mean, I am talking sunsets that have knees to get down on. We want funk. Have you seen my FOINK? We want funk. Have you seen my FOINK? It's how I mostly post. It's what I had for lunch, brunch, and I have a hunch and hope you'll like it. Did you like it? Did you like it? Like it? Did you like it? Did you like it? I want to take you higher. Ow! Now, as a matter of fact, my fear of you not knowing all of this drove me here tonight. My fear of how everything in New York goes bang. Our bikes, our mayors, our schools, our wild schools, our pirates too. I came into this world kicking and screaming, covered in love. And I've been trying to feed the people, and I'm going to continue to show up, to come back, because that's my privilege. Victor Hugo says, open a school door, close a prison. So I believe that I will close every prison door I possibly can to open a school in the mind, the heart, open a library for the best of the best in the belly of the beast. And if I have to, bang! I will leave this world kicking and screaming, kicking and screaming, kicking and screaming, while everything in New York goes. Bang! One more time, while everything in New York goes. Bang! Robert! Robert! Robert? Yeah, Mom? Great job, Robert. Excellent. Thanks, Mom.